A nice classic piece of weird cardboard we've got here today. Future Sight really is the gift that just keeps on giving. Saltskitter is a 4-mana 3/4 white worm creature which exiles itself whenever another creature enters and then returns to the battlefield on the end step. Lovely and strange, just how I like it. Here we have a creature that is apparently scared of other creatures. It runs and hides whenever one enters the battlefield. So, what's the point of this thing then? It's useless for blocking, and getting an attack in requires sequencing your turn around the skitter, which is almost certainly not worth the 3 damage it deals. Well, may I interest you in some enters and leaves triggers? That's right, Saltskitter is a wonderful include in decks that love triggering effects around creatures entering the battlefield, leaving it, or being put into exile, or in other words, different blink-adjacent strategies. Because Saltskitter in essence represents up to 4 ETBs, LTBs, and exile triggers per round at the table, it works really nicely as a compact one-card engine for a good number of decks looking to have as many of those different triggers as possible. Only one trouble with your average blink deck, though. This card doesn't do anything, at least not by itself, and a large portion of Blink decks thrive on their creatures having big ETBs to trigger. And yes, that is admittedly a downside. However, all it really does is mean that it isn't an auto-include Blink staple. No, instead the type of deck where this really finds a home is one that loves an Impact Tremors or a Soul Warden. Those kind of cards alongside Skitter, especially when in multiples, can get really oppressive. 4 damage a turn cycle from just 1 Impact Tremors accrues real fast, but then add in a Molten Gatekeeper or an Agate Instigator or a Bloomin' Terror of the Peaks, and you get a table death speedrun. And similarly, stacking your Soul Sisters next to this thing results in just an absurd amount of life gain triggers, which your Archangels of Thune, Exemplars of Light, and even just a basic Ajani's Pridemates can turn into something real threatening, alongside making you a royal pain to take down. And the best thing is, if you play Boros, you can do both of these at the same time, with Norrin the Wary as Skitter contingency to boot. And let's not forget green in all this either. Despite not having an extensive suite of similar cards to trigger off of this, like the Tremors in red and the Sisters in white, green actually has some of the more individually powerful triggers off of the Skitter's repeated entry. For one thing, it has a couple of its own Soul Sisters, but beyond that, it has card draw in Tribute to the World Tree and Elemental Bond, it has some real nasty removal in Aura Shards and Thorn Mammoth, and well, Championer Lamholt needs no explanation. And I mean, any one of these cards alongside Salty Boy accrues some insane advantage which dramatically improves your position. What about commanders though? It's all well and good that you've got all these fun little synergies, but what shell to put them in? Don't worry, Saltskitter has some lovely friends in the zone as well. With Ifara or Ketramos, it represents 4 card draws a cycle. With Genku or Raynar, that's 4 tokens. Kaith Famed Mechanist also represents 4 tokens around. However, unlike the other 2, you can play the Impact Tremors package in that deck as well for some crazy advantage. And frankly, as I've been saying throughout this video, really any commander which cares about things entering, leaving, or being put into exile that's in white can find a nice spot for this little fella. Trostani? Sure. Samwise Gamgee? Why not? The War Doctor? Come right on in. And the especially wonderful thing is that if you're playing a critical mass of the effects that I've been talking about before, your commander doesn't even necessarily need to synergize for this card to put in some really nice work. For my part, my favourite commander for this card is actually one of those, one which doesn't directly synergize itself, but plays a deck which really likes that kind of effect, namely Obzedat Ghost Council. The Obzedat exile themselves at the end of your turn and return on the beginning of the next one, which in turn triggers their life drain effect. Because the Obzedat blink themselves and gain life, a deck with them at the head is a wonderful candidate for playing a full suite of Soul Sisters, and in turn, that makes it a perfect environment for playing a Saltskitter, where it functions as a second guaranteed Soul Sister trigger on a turn where the Obzedat enter the battlefield. So yeah, this creature is very strange, and one of the worst at actually being a functional creature, but with just a little creativity and a few ETB triggers, this can overperform wildly. And yes, I know Norrin is better, but he actually sees a bit of play, so shush, let's give Saltskitter some limelight, yeah?